Welcome to the Lowdown podcast. It's Austin Lowe. I almost said meteorologist Austin Lowe because in my past jobs, I've been a meteorologist. And so anytime I'm faced with a camera and starting off, I always tend to say meteorologist. But no weather today. We're talking all sports. How you doing today, Cam?
I'm doing great, man. Just touched down here in Indianapolis. I'm going to spend some time here. It's a lot better than being in Kansas City, I'll tell you that.
Oof, yeah, definitely rough. Where you're listening from today, welcome. We're going to just recap the game and our reaction. Obviously, if you're a listener to our podcast, we had our take of the Chiefs winning, and, well, it didn't happen with the final score of 22. Those 22 points were late in the game to 40. I was worried for a minute we were not going to see a touchdown from the Chiefs.
I honestly don't know if I've ever seen that kind of ass whooping in a Super Bowl, especially from a two-time defending world champions to just get belt to the cheeks like that. It was, as Amon-Ra St. Brown says, I've never seen anything like that, man. It was congratulations to Philadelphia. They proved everyone wrong. I think Jalen Hurts maybe had the best game I've ever seen him play in his life. I mean, hit the accuracy on his deep balls. I don't think I saw him throw one bad pass. The interception, but it was like, you know, but I mean, just time and time again, he made the right read, the right play. And when he made the right throw is on the money, right in stride with the receivers. So it was Jalen Hurts earned a lot of my respect. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts at times, I was unsure of how I felt about how he was as a player. Proved all doubters, proved me wrong. Jalen Hurts had, one of the best games I've ever seen him play. Yeah, throw the interception away because I think, especially that deep pass to Devontae Smith, you're like, that was I mean,
oh my gosh, right in.
And so it's just so much respect for the Eagles right now. And I do want to take that time to acknowledge that, yeah, hey, we have the Chiefs and Eagles proved us wrong. And I kind of really like the Eagles now. All of this want to join the bandwagon.
What's amazing is all year we're like, yeah, but they're just running over teams because they have the lead. What are they going to do like when they're behind and they have to pass? Well, here's the thing. They weren't even behind, but the run game stopped working and they leaned on the pass.
Yep.
And flawless. They showed everyone they were wrong. They just didn't have to do it all year.
Yeah,
and when they had to do it, what did they score? 90 points in the last two games?
Yeah.
That's insane against the two best teams.
I did want to talk about was Sweat. I mean, he was all over the field, bringing pressure. He had 2.5 sacks in that game, and the team in total 6 sacks on Patrick Mahomes, which is very hard to get him down.
Especially on zero blitzes.
Right.
Zero blitzes.
And they, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think blitzed once that game. It was all just
they didn't.
Front four.
4-man rush every single time. Not a single time they blitzed.
It's incredible. Those defenders up front and hell, it's a blueprint of what you need to do if you're trying to build a defense. You get the front four set. Eagles say, we don't care. We're going to continue to build up front every single year. Jalen Carter's sitting there. We're going to draft him, and it's proved to work. Him and Jordan Davis next to each other. Great stuff. And I do want to give some respect to the Kansas City Chiefs, who played hard all year. Xavier Worthy had his best game of the season with 2 big catches. You can see he's a deep threat in the future. 8 catches for 157 yards. Those are almost Madden-like stats when you're throwing streaks to your fast receiver.
Speaking of Madden and tying into football, what is the one thing that we know if you can't do this, you're not going to win the game, especially against elite competition?
You gotta be able to run.
Exactly. And where was Pacheco? Where was Pacheco all game? I don't think I heard his name called one time. And last year, he was the reason they won. They didn't have the passing options, and they played like Philly played last year. Relied on their defense, big boys up front, and they just mauled, the run game. And it's weird, their offensive line, how they're so inconsistent. They'll be dominant in the running game, but you have the most valuable player in the league and you can't seem to. It's weird. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if like their O-line coach is like being questionable in his pass protection, because clearly the offensive linemen have talent. Trey Smith, Thuney, was a really good guard, and he was so good that they moved him to left tackle because they're like, he'll protect. So it's very intriguing, and I kind of want to see how they attack it. I feel for Patrick Mahomes because he puts people want to hate on him, hate on Travis Kelsey, the Swift, but it's like these people, they work. That's the reason they're so good, is because they dedicate their entire life to this. You see it with Patrick Mahomes. He's, every offseason he's working out. He trains probably more than anybody. And I don't think the hate's fair. I'm not trying to lift him up too much. I know he gets a lot of love, but he's very talented and he cares about his team. So it does suck to see them go out like that. I would at least like to see it a little more competitive game, but he probably feels so defeated because people were putting him in comparison with Tom Brady already. And after that performance, everyone's saying, I've never seen Tom Brady do that. You know, and he's like, and the two times they played in the playoffs, Tom Brady absolutely destroyed Patrick Mahomes. Like they
Yeah.
weren't close games. So it is a very interesting, topic, and to see um, things can just flip in 1 year.
Yeah.
Uh, and but they're going to get back on the wagon. I have faith in that.
Yeah, they will. And hopefully we get back on the wagon in terms of being able to make better picks, because if you did follow us, you made some money picks based on what we said. Maybe you lost money.
Yeah. It lets you bet on the over under.
Yes. If that's strictly what you did, you said over under, we're going to go over 48.5. Yep. Good. Perfect. We got that. Thank you, Chiefs, for scoring in the fourth quarter. We appreciate that. But the Chiefs obviously did not cover the 1.5. Not only did they lose, but not even close. Patrick Mahomes, believe it or not, did not get over 275 yards passing. Again,
He was close. He was close.
Yeah, thanks to some
Garbage.
end. And the most surprising one to me, Cam, was that Barkley did not score a touchdown, and yet the Philadelphia Eagles still blew by the Chiefs in this game.
I saw a post actually today. It's this artist who goes by the name of Lil TJ. He put $10,000 on Saquon Barkley scoring a touchdown. So if you put $10 on him scoring a touchdown and lost, don't feel too bad. Don't feel too bad. There's people out there who lost a lot more.
Hey, that's a bet I would probably do 99.9 out of 10, 100 times. 99.9. 99.9. 99.9 out of 10 was well above 100%. So, yeah, we could do that. Yeah. But it's crazy to think that we talked about it before. They dominated in different ways than they usually do. And with the recaps, we also kind of wanted to talk about our core four, because we were so excited about this new thing we did on our last podcast, these core four players that could make a difference. I'm interested on your thoughts here, because when you watch the game, we get an opportunity to kind of focus in on these one players, that we picked. So I'm curious on your thoughts.
Oh, it was so fun. We got to do this every week next year. Oh, yeah. I was watching the game a little more in depth, like at the specific players. I was upset that I didn't see Jaden Hicks get a lot of playing time. They had Cook back there instead, which Cook made a fantastic play on the interception, so I can't really blame them. They got some depth at there in the safety position. Trey Smith, I mean, I'm not going to lie, huge Trey Smith fan, but had an extremely disappointing game keeping Patrick Mahomes upright. We can't even really grade how he did on the rush because, I mean, they didn't run the ball. Lewis Cine, I didn't see him get any playing time, but still, for him to go from, his injury, practice squad, to being on a 53 and winning that Super Bowl, I'm happy for him. That's cool in itself. But Mekhi Becton had a fantastic game. Big mauler inside for Philadelphia. Played a great game. It's awesome to see him have a resurgence, after his debacle with the Jets and things didn't really work out. But My core four did not perform nearly as good as your core four. I'll
Uh,
tell you that.
I mean, I was kind of shocked, and like you, I had a lot of fun doing this, where you're able to kind of hone in on a couple of players. And I did feel really good about Zach Bond. You know, he's had a really good season, and so when he made that diving interception, I said, first of all, got to give props to the man. That was a great play. Patrick Mahomes was getting hit while he was throwing it. It's not, I guess, uncharacteristic for Mahomes to do that. It's uncharacteristic for him to do that and then turn it into an interception. You know, usually he makes those freakish plays, but I mean, Bond made a freakish play on that, and he played really well. Obviously, Hunt couldn't get going because you know he had a couple of touches, but like when you're so far down, you're not going to run the ball as much. And Hunt was the guy we talked about that he's going to get those hard yards.
Exactly.
Certain situations, and they just were passing the whole time. And so it's like, well, I mean, he doesn't get the touches. Really, really happy about that. And then Jahan Dotson, he was the first guy that I chose in the core four, and I think he was the one of the first Eagles to make a play. And you had texted me like, "Hey, it's Dotson."
Yes.
We
Like
do,
2 minutes into the game.
right? So it was fun to like focus in on, disappointed that couldn't see a little more competitiveness out of the game, but individual players doing it, it really allowed us to focus in on some players, and so it was a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing it full time next year with every single team. That'll be a little more fun. It'll be a little more difficult too to like really hone in on who you want to see against who in certain matchups. So core four was a lot of fun.
It was. How mad do you think Jason Kelsey is right now?
Uh,
He didn't just stick it out one more year.
he's probably somewhere at the Kelsey house just laughing at his brother. Again, all due to Travis Kelsey, but
He's like, okay, the Eagles beat you the 1 year I'm not on the team.
right? I'm over here doing Campbell's Chunky commercial. Damn.
Still living his best life.
Yeah. I'm happy for Jason at his retirement, but
yeah, they should just give him a ring just cause. Complimentary.
Speaking of commentary, some shows, halftime show, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge rap fan, so I really wanted to incorporate this in our recap conversation of the game. Being that you, by the way, for our listeners and watchers, Cam writes, produces, edits his own music, very talented musician, and you focus on hip hop and rap. And so like I knew you were gonna probably get a kick out of this. I just wanted your take on what you thought of the performance.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I audio engineer, do a lot of work down in Detroit with a lot of hip hop artists down there. But huge Kendrick Lamar fan. I love what he's about. He's about his morals. Like you don't see rappers, on his kind of pedigree. He's elite talent, wordsmith. And he's just everything he does to try to improve like his city, the country. It's always like aimed in a positive direction. And it's just awesome to see someone get, constant growth. And obviously there's controversy because he played his diss song at Drake, calling him out for being,
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, Drake has been questioned for having relations with minors. And he's someone a lot of people looked up to. So it's kind of really big for someone to stand out and be like, hey, this kind of behavior isn't okay. It doesn't matter how big you are. And for him to have that big of a stage to kind of be like, hey, follow your moral compass, I thought it was really cool. It was awesome to see. Samuel L. Jackson out there was awesome.
That was awesome.
Playing Uncle Sam. I was like, okay. It was awesome. The interesting part about him playing the Drake diss song is they're both signed to Universal Music Group, right? Which is interesting. And so they're having this back and forth diss, both making diss songs. And once the most recent one came out, that's really big by Kendrick Lamar, the Not Like Us, Drake actually sued their label. And it said if you played it at the halftime show, there'll be more, you know, I will press harder for this. But the label, it isn't pushing back and like, hey, like you guys both dissed each other. We promoted both tracks. This one just happens to be the best one, and the one received best by people. And so it was interesting to see if he was going to perform it, knowing that that would happen. And it's going to be interesting to see like the legal stuff that happens following all of this. So it's interesting, but it's a good time in the world where we as the people love, our preaching positivity and honesty. So I like that.
Yeah, I definitely know that there's some opinion about that, and I think his moral compass, Kendrick Lamar, is in a good place, and he's got a good heart, and that's why he did what he did. So say what you want, I agree with the premise of what he was trying to do.
And
So
Geminis are the best artists, hands down, hands down.
that's because you are a Gemini artist. Um,
Exactly.
how about, and I'm a graphics person. I've lived
Yeah.
in the TV world my whole life. So of course I've got to talk about the score bug at the bottom that looked like, and maybe it was hard work. I don't know. This is just conversation talking about it.
Yeah.
Made overnight. I could make that in Canva just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know. It's just my take on it. I think that it was weird that.
Well, it was hard to find the first down. Like, what down is it?
Right. Yeah.
That was so hard for me.
And there's a lot of people who watch football who have trouble seeing things when text is so small. So I just wanted to throw my 2 cents out there. I thought that was a little do better.
Yeah. I kind of thought the idea of it was cool. I did kind of like the clearness, but when it came to like the first down, it's like I could never tell what down it was. I could not tell what down it was.
All right, so your final thoughts about the 24-25 season. I thought it was a whirlwind. Obviously, both of our teams that we root for fell short, but how would you sum up if you had to, I don't know, have say a sentence about the season of
It's
2025?
unpredictable.
Yeah.
At any time I thought I had a key on what was going to, my thumb on what was going to happen next, other way, complete other shift of direction. Usually I can kind of get a grasp on like, oh, this is kind of going, not this year. Like, there were times where Ravens looked by far like the best team in the league. The Vikings looked by far by the best team in the league. The Lions looked by far the best team in the league. The Steelers at a time. First 2 weeks of the year, the Saints looked like the best team in the league. And it's just the back and forth, the back and forths, and it was so amazing. Eagles were supposed to be this team who scored 20 points a game and maybe can muscle out some teams, and then they come into the playoffs and just blow the doors off everyone they play. Unpredictable. Sam Darnold leading Vikings to a 14-win season. Unpredictable. Um, the only thing that was predictable was Bears being bad, unless you know. I think the resurgence of Bryce Young was awesome. Super entertaining. Big Bryce Young fan. I thought that was awesome. An awesome story. The resurgence of the running back position, the importance of that, and the value that that kind of leaked over into college football. Just so much talent coming out at the running back position now, which um, one of my favorite players growing up was Adrian Peterson. So I always loved the running back position. And I saw how like there were like 10 straight years where we made the playoffs just handing this guy the ball. Like we had nothing except him and 2 edge rushers most of the time. And so that's the most interesting fact to me, is that it seems like it's going back to old fashioned football with deep threats mixed in there. And so I really like it, and it's unpredictable, and I'm already ready for the next year.
I'm right there with you. I think unpredictable is probably the best way to describe this year, too. You talk about how many teams went up and down throughout the year, and it just goes back to the core of football. Any given Sunday, it truly was this year. And I'm already excited for what next season brings. But The good news is we've got a whole off season to go through. We teased it so much, and finally we're approaching our quarterback carousel episode. By the way, news in, if you haven't heard, if you're in the sports world, you have, but if you're a casual watcher, Jets are moving on from Aaron Rodgers, which there was some speculation early on that they might not. We found out last week that that is indeed going to happen. And Aaron Rodgers still guaranteed over $80 million. So whoever, if Aaron Rodgers decides to continue in the league, which I think he will at least one more year, is going to have to pay him some money on top of a smaller contract. So he's going to be making some pretty good money over the next couple of years, regardless. And there are plenty of teams out there who need quarterbacks, and not just Aaron Rodgers, but there's a whole list of quarterbacks that are available that actually look pretty good. And we're going to have the lowdowns take on those quarterbacks, including Sam Darnold, of course, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Fields, and the rookies, where they're all going to go. Man, I'm so excited for this episode coming up.
It is the most confused I have ever been about the quarterback carousel, like in history of football. Like last year was pretty cut and dry. Like, yeah, these teams are going to go here. Kirk's the free agent quarterback. He'll probably go to Atlanta, maybe Minnesota. Like it was pretty cut and dry. Like this year, there's like, man, maybe 10, maybe more teams where it's like, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Like, and then there's teams like we don't even talk about where it's like, do we know? Like, all of a sudden, Vikings could bring back Sam Darnold, and everything we thought we knew is, oh, wait, so JJ's not here. Sam's not going to leave. He's not going to fill this role. Well, who will fill this role? Oh, did they need to draft someone now? Like, so the door is wide open. There's so many. And there's, like, pretty good free agent quarterbacks where you have that good – you have, like, a bundle of each. You have a surging – young vet and Sam Darnold. You have the two proven vets who are on the back end of their career in Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. And then you have an elite playmaker in Justin Fields. So you have like interesting options. And then the Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, the Geno Smith, we don't really know what's going to happen with these guys. And then how weird this draft class is, where it's like, yeah, Cam and Store, maybe. But after that, so
Yeah.
so many quarterback needy teams with not a lot of quarterback options. It's so interesting.
Yeah, there's no really, I guess there's not a big pool of elite talent out there. It's just kind of, yeah, these guys could help you win. You don't know. So super excited about that, Cam. Thanks for talking about the Super Bowl. I hope y'all enjoyed our talks, our takes. As Cameron talked about last time, you have comments you want to take that's different than ours? Heck yeah. Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe. You can follow us on Instagram, on TikTok at Lowdown Podcast, where we are pretty good at keeping up some fresh, quick content. We're all busy all the time. It's good to get those quick clips of what's going on. And you can always listen to us on YouTube as well on your way to work, on your way back home, back home from work. Can you tell it's been a long day?
Yeah, I could tell. It's been a long day.
Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday. Tuesdays, I will always say this, the worst day. Because Monday, at least you get to reminisce about your weekend. Tuesday, you're back there after, and you're like, oh, we still got all week.
Yeah.
But
absolutely the worst.
Exactly. But one more thing for our viewers is when you subscribe, comment, go to our latest video that you see, and comment the team you root for. We want to know what teams you're liking if you're watching our videos, so we can do a little more in-depth analysis on like the people who are watching our videos, their teams. So if you subscribe to us, just comment your team that you root for, and we'll do more in-depth dives and look at those teams a little bit more.
Yeah, I think the beauty of being a podcast is you can kind of gauge at how long you talk, but you can go on as long as you want, and this gives us an opportunity to talk about each individual team, which sometimes you can't do on traditional TV. So it's fun stuff. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Lowdown Podcast. We'll see you Saturday night for our quarterback carousel episode. See you then.
We'll see you guys then.